What's up guys, this is Mangaka 89 and I am back with another video. Today we have a special guest, Ryan Dickey, who is a YouTuber who I have been watching since around late 2011. He does manga just like me, so Ryan, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Ryan Dickey, like the Mangaka said, and like you said, I do manga. I draw tons of comics, and I'm progressively working on story after story, and that's basically who I am.
Cool. Yeah, so he is the author of series known as Power of Love, which he has published, I have right here, and Figure Amma, which you can find online. I remember when you gave this to me. So, yeah, congrats on the move
I remember
to Colorado
that.
Springs, by the way. How was that?
How is Colorado Springs?
No, well, congrats on the move. How was moving there? Was it difficult?
It was pretty stressful at first. I mean, it was a major change for me from going from somewhere like Florida, which is very hot, and I came to Colorado from 90-degree weather and it was snowing here, so it was a pretty big change. And the type of work that I'm doing is much different than what I was doing before, so that was a major change for me too, something I had to adapt to. But I'm adapted and I'm enjoying living here now. It's a pretty awesome place.
Nice. I'm actually visiting Florida. I'm leaving on Saturday to go to Orlando, so that should be pretty fun. I haven't been to Florida in since I was in second grade, so.
Oh, really? Yeah, Orlando's awesome. Are you going to Disney? I used to live like 2 hours from there.
Yeah, we're gonna visit Disney. We're gonna visit a few beaches. I think we're gonna visit Universal, Epcot Center, things like that. Yeah.
Cool. No, that'll be awesome. It's a good time, for real.
All right, cool. So this is an interview, so we want to get to know you a bit better. So before I start asking the real questions, let's find out a few things about you. So do you have any favorite foods, favorite music, any hobbies?
Yeah, I got my favorite food it's kind of like desserts, I guess. I guess that's why I'm never losing weight. But my favorite food probably is something called toaster strudels. It's like the best thing in the world. I don't know if you've ever had them.
Yes, I have actually. Yeah.
That and cheesecake, actually. I really like cheesecake.
Yeah, cheesecake is good. Cheesecake is good. Personally, my favorite is chocolate mousse cake or anything chocolatey. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's this cheesecake I get sometimes. It has a layer of chocolate cake and then a layer of cheesecake on top of it and then chocolate fudge on top of that. It's probably the most incredible thing ever.
Sounds very good, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice.
And what was the second question you asked?
Any favorite music or favorite bands, anything?
Music? Sorry, there's a little bit of lag, so I didn't catch what you said.
For those watching, there's about a 2-second delay in between me asking him and him answering, so just bear with that. But yeah, do you have anything, any favorite bands, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just listen to whatever's on the radio. I guess with content of, visual form and, musical form, I'm kind of open to anything. I don't really go towards just one thing. I do everything, I watch everything, I listen to everything, and kind of what captivates me is what I usually stick with.
It's cool. So, besides drawing manga, do you have any other hobbies?
Yeah, I got some other hobbies. I mean, I don't do them as often as drawing just because drawing is my favorite thing in the world. But one thing I really enjoy doing is I paint cars, and it's something I really love doing. it's not really, I guess, a hobby. It's kind of what I did professionally before what I do here in Colorado Springs, which is landscaping. But painting and, you know, working on cars, I like to restore old cars, and that's kind of like my other hobby outside of drawing.
Mm-hmm. So even like your profession, it's still something somewhat artistic since you're painting things.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely an art form to, you know, restoring an old antique car, and that's why I enjoy it. I like, I mean, that's one reason I draw comics, because it's just like to create something from nothing is just an incredible feeling, and that's how, you know, working on cars is for me. So
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we're gonna start getting down to the real questions. When were you first exposed to anime or manga? So, like, what was the series that started it out for you?
So what started it for me was a series called Dragonball Z when I was 6 years old. It's kind of a funny story. My older brother, when I was 6, I knew nothing about anime, manga. I mean, I watched a few cartoons like, I think one was called Cat Dog. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard it, yeah.
But, you know, that was as far as I went. Oh, it's really? Yeah, that was a long time ago. But I used to watch series like that, and my older brother actually introduced me into Dragon Ball Z, because what he would do is he would do fan arts for people in school, you know, his classmates and stuff like that, of the TV series, because he enjoyed it so much. And he showed me his art. I was like, oh man, that's so awesome. You know, where are you drawing from? And he told me, he was like, oh, there's this TV show that just came out on Toonami, and you should check it out. It's a cool show, Dragon Ball Z. So I checked it out. I absolutely got addicted to manga and anime at that point. I wanted to find everything. My knowledge at that time was pretty limited still of the genre, but overall, it's what started everything. For me, it started art, and it started my, you know, passion for manga and anime.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate with you, because actually, just like you, Dragon Ball Z is what started it for me. I saw it on TV and I was like, you know what, that's pretty awesome. And then it went from there. I was like, yeah, this is a really awesome show. I started drawing over and over again, like fanatically. And I stumbled upon
Yeah, yeah, me too.
yeah, and I stumbled upon Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, later on, and this was about when I was like 5, and I was like, wait, Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of looks like Dragon Ball Z kind of guy, and then I was like, oh, these things it's Japanese anime, and that's when I really started to get into it. So like, I think Dragon Ball Z really like opened the gateway for anime for a lot of us, like you and me. So that's cool.
Yes, definitely. And actually, it's funny. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was after that, and Pokemon was too, even though that's kind of like on the borderline of you know, that type of thing.
Yeah. All right. Second question. When did you actually decide to start drawing manga seriously? Like, aside from fan art, when did you actually think, like, okay, this is something I want to pursue, this is something I want to do?
Well, I mean, there's a fine line for me, because when I first started drawing, it was all fan art, like you said. It was just fan art after fan art of Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu-Yu Hakusho, all these different TV series or mangas, whatever I was into at the time. But when I was, I want to say like 11, I decided to draw my own character for Dragon Ball Z. I drew a bad guy. I called him Goshen. He was like this green alien-looking thing, kind of like Piccolo, but not so much. And I created the story behind him, and I sent it to Funimation, which at the time was, you know, producing Dragon Ball Z for English dub. And I mean, they always did. But so I made the story and fan art for them, and I never got a response. And I was like, man, what the heck? I really enjoyed making that story, and I was like, why do I have to make Dragon Ball Z stories? Why can't I just make my own stories? So at that time, I realized there was more to it than just watching watching the animes, reading the mangas, and, being immersed into that, I could actually make my own world. But even though I realized that at that young age, I really didn't get serious about it until I was about 18 years old. And just so you know, I'm 24 now, so that's the time frame that I've really been dedicated to it. And the way I got myself to be serious about it, it's kind of a funny example or funny experience, but my brother was living in Colorado where I'm living right now. We all both moved back here, but he was living in Colorado. He moved back to Florida at the time when we were both 18, and he got a job at Joe Muggs, which is a coffee shop for Books A Million. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, we have a Books A Million in a mall near us, yeah.
Okay, well, so he worked at the Joe Muggs, and on his breaks or after work, he would go and start reading manga, because at that point in time, we were both working a lot, paying bills and stuff, and, reading manga was a little, on the back burner for us, because we were so consumed in work and bills and all that stupid stuff. And he started reading manga again when he started working there, because it was a bookstore, and they had tons and tons of manga, and after about a month of him working there, he came to me and was like, Ryan, I want to draw professional manga and submit it to publishers and get our own manga made. He was like, we used to do it as kids. Let's just do it again. I was like, man, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So we came up with this agreement, which I kind of got the back end of it. But what the agreement was is that he was going to draw a manga full time, and I was going to work to support both of us. So I had a full-time job that supported both of us. He quit his job and started doing manga full time. And at that point in time, we went on YouTube, and we were called Project Black Manga, and we were producing a series called Project Black. And that's when, at the age of 18, we started taking it extremely serious. I mean, he quit his job. That was a pretty big thing, and I was supporting him. So it was a pretty big move for us. But we got really serious. We did that for about a year, and unfortunately, because of money circumstances and stuff, he had to go back to work. Fortunately, he got a job as an artist. I know this isn't about him, and I'm talking about him, but it was a journey for both of us. It was what got me to realize that my life isn't just an 8-to-5 career. It's whatever I make it. And that day I realized I can do anything that I want to do, and what I want to do is draw manga. So that's how it happened.
Nice. Yeah, you certainly do have a lot of freedom when it comes to being able to draw manga yourself. Of course, doing it professionally and such. Like, it's not like a regular, like you said, an 8-to-5, 9-to-5 kind of job. You have a set schedule, but you're able to work more freely, I guess. And I guess that's more appealing for people like you. I find it very appealing as well. Yeah, but wow, he quit his job. That's dedication.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've yet to find a job, but whatever. So
no, it's no. Go ahead.
No. You can go. I was going to continue.
Okay, so the biggest thing, even though he quit his job and it financially burdened us, and I had to work more and stuff like that, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about, working, paying bills. It was about doing what we love. And that's really what manga is. Whether we're doing it professionally or we're doing it as a hobby, it's about pursuing the things we love. One day for people that want to make it a profession, it may be possible. It happens all the time to people, comic artists and manga artists and graphic novel artists. They go from being a 9-to-5 person to, drawing manga their career, and it happens all the time. And that's what it's all about. It's about the art. It's about creating a story and doing what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yep. Okay. Who was your most influential artist, if you have any?
So there's a guy. I'm sure you've heard of him. His name's Lishan Thomas.
Yes, yeah.
Lishan Thomas, when we first started working, yeah, he's an incredible artist. When we started working on Project Black when we were 18, about 6 months into the project, we found Lishan Thomas. And at the time, there was a lot of artists that were inspiring us, like Rona Project, Ryan and Anthony, Mark Crilly. They were all huge inspirations to us.
Yeah.
But Lishan, we found him. He was this guy that, is a producer of huge animated series. And we sent him a comment, and we were like, man, we really love your work. Your art's beautiful. I mean, it really is. I don't know how much you've looked into his art. He has an outstanding style. He has this beautiful mix of, manga and, an American style. It's perfect. It's incredible, in my opinion. So we contacted him, and he actually went and read our entire series. And for us, that was like the most inspiring thing ever. And on a regular basis, he came over to us, our channel, read our series, gave us critiques on our art. And, for somebody like that to come and, not only that he's the most incredible artist to me, but also for somebody of that statute to come over and, humble himself to come and check out somebody as small as I am. It was an incredible experience, and I really, really respect Lishan Thomas, and he's what drives me. Everything he's done, if you look into his career and the things that he's accomplished, I mean, he's an incredible person.
Yeah. Wow. I'm not entirely familiar with his works. I have heard of him, and I have seen a few of his work online, but it's great to know that like someone like him will go down to help out people who are still kind of rising and just critique them and such. Yeah, that's very respectable in my opinion. So cool. It's great.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. What do you find is the hardest aspect of drawing manga or just doing art in general? Because I know you've been branching out lately to digital art, like you've got a tablet and everything. So what do you find is like the hardest aspect to doing art?
Okay, so for me, personally, the creating art, like, it comes to me pretty good. I think the hardest thing that I find, just with my personal experience, is finding the time to schedule it with everything I have in my normal life. I want to draw as much as I possibly can. Ideas are flowing through my head all the time. But the one thing I always struggle with is finding that time to sit down and be able to draw, after work, or whatever. It's finding that time for me. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, definitely finding time to schedule in, because I know you paint cars, you have a job, so finding time to like work on that manga is definitely a daunting task, because you have Emma who's keeping you, I'll bet, extremely busy, and you have to like just work out a schedule and everything. Like me, I have schoolwork and other things I gotta attend to. So definitely, I think scheduling yourself is difficult, because there are times where I tell myself, yeah, I'm going to create a video for YouTube today, or I'm going to work on something today, and then something comes up and I'm like, okay, no, I don't have time for that. And I kind of just disappear from YouTube for a few months. Like I'm sure you, like you said in your video, it's happened to us and stuff.
I do all the time.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely guilty of that. Yeah. But
yeah, it's one of those things where, there is time to do it, and it's about, like, for me, I could make time to do it. There's points of time in the day that I could sit down and draw, and so I don't know if it's really about the time. I mean, I don't have a lot of time, like you said, because of my baby Emma. I get home and I have to take care of her. My wife and I make dinner. I have a family to support, and it makes it hard to find the time. But in the reality of things, there is time in my day to work on it, and I make excuses that, push me away from doing what I should be doing, and that's drawing. It's not that I should be forcing myself, but, I want to, and I make excuses like, oh, I would rather just, for me, I would rather just sit down, relax, drink a beer, and kind of like cool down from the day, working in the heat. And that's bad. It's like to get into that routine. Like my favorite artist, like I mentioned, he said one time in one of his videos, while you're sleeping, somebody's getting better than you. Somebody's progressing more than you. Because there are people out there that are extremely dedicated, way more busy than I am, and they still find the time to create their content and, keep progressing, keep moving. And what it is, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, it's very easy to make excuses that, make you not draw. Days and days can go by without you drawing, and you don't even realize it. You don't even think about it. You just, make up these excuses like they're legit reasons, and in reality, you could be drawing. And, that's my problem. I fall short of that all the time, and I hate to admit to it, but that's the hardest thing I find with drawing.
Yeah, I totally relate because, as you know, you may or may not know, I'm working on a 10-page prequel one-shot to my one-shot. And I should be done by now. It's like what, 3 weeks into summer since school ended, and it's only 10 pages, but like I keep pushing it off and pushing it off, and I keep telling myself, okay, I'll probably work on something. I'll probably work on some of it tomorrow. I'll just take this day to relax. But like honestly, that just shows like I'm not really serious about it, and it's bad. So I think like one of the things to becoming a good artist is not just like, of course, like focusing on your skill and your art in general, but I think also training yourself to have that work ethic, to be able to set a schedule for yourself and be able to accomplish something in a set amount of time. I think training yourself to be a hard worker is also like, you need it to be a good artist.
I completely agree with you, Matthew. It's all about discipline with art. You're not going to go anywhere if you can't discipline yourself. And I don't want to speak of this too much, but so many people get so wrapped up in their lives, their day-to-day lives, that they allow so much time to go by. They don't discipline themselves in any reason. So many people tell themselves, oh, I can't be an artist. I can't do this. I can't be a professional like that guy is. It happens all the time, and so many people do it. But in the reality, anybody can do it. We're all human. Any of us can do whatever we want. It's all about creating that time, making that discipline that makes us, even though, force isn't the best way to go about it, but, disciplining yourself is key to growing and to whatever you want to do, even if it's not drawing. Just, you have to discipline yourself to be able to get somewhere where you want to be.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, so you've talked about your brother. Is your brother working on anything at the moment?
So actually, just recently, in the last couple of weeks, my brother and I actually worked together with our career. So the last couple of weeks, we've actually been creating a new series. I guess I can tell the name. It doesn't really, I guess, matter. The series is called Force Fed, and it's like a post-apocalyptic series. It's a very intense series that we're working on. I'm writing a story. He's drawing it. I'm helping him with the art. And, we're working together to create more content more often. And, us working together is helping me stay inspired to keep working, because I see that he's working, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to work because he's working. And then he sees that I'm producing content. And he's like, oh, I'm going to produce content too. So we kind of feed off of each other to be able to discipline ourselves, which is a big help to have a teammate when you're working on a manga project. And so we're working on it. The pace is going slow, but we are producing content. We're already about a quarter of the way into the first chapter, and it's looking incredible. I'm really excited about this series.
Nice, nice. So you have someone to keep each other motivated and stuff. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually the second part of the question. I stopped myself. Second part was, were you ever thinking of collaborating with him for a project? But then, as you just told me, you're working on this with him, so that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's cool because when we first started drawing comics and manga, we worked together, and we stopped working together, and that's when I started creating my manga, Power of Love and Stick Figure Amma. But slowly, things have come together, and we're working together again to produce a short series.
Yeah. So you said you're producing the short series, but are you planning on continuing with Power of Love or Stick Figure Amma?
So basically at this point in time, I'm putting those on the back burner because both of those series, I've done so much planning and they're extremely long series. And for me right now, I want to accomplish something small so I can accomplish something greater, if that makes sense. I want to get something finished. I want to produce the content and see what I'm capable of before working on a very long series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can totally understand that. Has that ambition to get published and succeed as a professional changed at all, or have you decided to branch out and try different and newer things?
So I don't want to make this too long, so just tell me if I'm if I'm making this too long, just let me know.
Yeah,
but,
no, it's fine.
I would like to get into that if that's okay.
Yeah, no, there's no time limit.
So publishing. Okay, great. So publishing for me, when I first started, it was all about publishing because that's all I knew. I just knew any professional got published. So I thought, hey, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go get published. And because of putting myself out there, showing people my comics and, going somewhere, I've learned so many different avenues of creating a product and releasing it to a market. And for me right now, I want to produce a webcomic. I want to be a professional. That's, in the end of the day, that's my goal. But as I've grown as a mangaka and, an artist in general, I've also grown as a businessman, and I understand business and finances a lot better than I did when I first started working on manga. And because of that understanding, I've learned things that enabled me to be able to do things that I never thought was possible before. Like, for example, my biggest goal and dream outside of producing my own manga is to be a publishing company. It's a far-fetched dream, but what I really would like to do is produce my own publishing company to help other people publish their content. And I've done this several times. I've tried to accomplish this, and I didn't understand the field of publishing too good. I knew it to the point of how I could publish my own series with a publisher, but I never understood the publisher side of this, the taking content in and saying, hey, this is what I want for my publishing company. This is what my audience is going to want. And those are things that I've been learning now, and I understand things about the actual consumers, the readers, that I never understood before, and that knowledge is helping me create a series. So let me say this.
Okay.
For me, drawing manga at first was just about the passion, about the creating content, which it still is. It's still that for me. It's still about the passion. But further than that, I have come to realize that creating content in a professional way, it's not about the creator. It's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about what my audience wants. It's about what my demographic wants. And it's really important to think of that when you're creating a series. Now, if you're creating a series as a hobbyist, you could do whatever you want. You can, create any story you want. In reality, you can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to say that you have to do this, but I think thinking about your consumer, your readers, is very important when you're producing a content. And thus, I am trying to understand my readers, my demographic, into what they want, so I can understand what they want, so I can write what they want and still make it what I want. Because it's not about my dream. When you're creating a comic or a manga or a graphic novel, it's not, I always thought it was my dream. This is my dream. It's not my dream. It's the reader's dream. And it's all about immersing the readers into your story, making them, be so excited and feel the depth and, atmosphere of this world that you're creating. And if you're creating that for yourself, you're not creating that for your readers. If you're creating it for yourself, it's what you want. If you're not thinking about what your readers want, it's not going to necessarily always be what they want, which sometimes hinders comic series or manga series from progressing as a larger series in a professional sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Like, you have to understand what the readers would like to see. So I guess, no. Like, you're putting your work out there, like, you have your idea, you have your own mindset, your world, and you want to portray it to the readers, but you've also got to think about, like, what they want to see, what they want to read, something that could appeal to, like, a wide range of audiences, but at the same time portraying, like, what you want to show them. Like, you have
vision.
Yeah, your vision, and you want them to all experience it. But at the same time, you got to make sure, like, it reaches a wide audience so that it can therefore become successful. So I think there's also kind of like a strategic standpoint to creating your own story and getting it published and such,
Yes, definitely. It can be very I can't even say that word. You know me, I can't say anything. But it's not that you have to do it a certain way. It's not that you can't create your own world. It just, when you're thinking of creating a series, in my opinion, if you're not thinking about your readers, I almost feel like it's a little bit selfish when you're looking at it as a professional aspect, because your readers are what drives your professionalism. They are what makes you be able to do what you do for them. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing anything for them, you're just doing it for yourself, which, hinders your professionalism. You need to think about your readers, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish, basically.
All right. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And, yeah, I'm looking at my list, and this is actually the last question on my list. So, are you ever going to continue any other side projects like, I think it was Revolution Zero and Word Bubble, was it? Are you going to continue? Are you going to try making any other side projects, or are you going to continue with any of them in the near future?
So, yes, I'm actually working on that now. Word Bubble and Comic Get It were both, like I was mentioning earlier, they were basically publishing companies that I was trying to develop with the mindset that I had at that period of time. But because, I'm progressive and I keep learning and I'm always changing what I do, unfortunately. I know a lot of people probably don't like that, but, I'm kind of trying to understand what I need to do to get to where I want to be. And right now, my side project, my project is my comic, but my comic is actually to produce my side project, which is a publishing company. So I'm kind of doing both intertwined, but my main focus is my manga that I'm working on. I want to get that produced. I want to produce the content. I want to see what I can do. And in accordance with that, and the growth of that series, I want to produce, I want to produce a publishing company so I can help other artists like myself, other creators, do the same thing that I've always wanted to do. I want to be able to make everybody's dream possible to the extent that I can, by myself.
Yeah. All right. Okay, that's all of the questions that I have on my list. So, if you have any last words, like anything you want to say to the viewers who are watching, say it now.
Yeah, I would love to. That would be great. First of all, Matthew, I really appreciate, and I hope it's okay that I'm calling you by your first name and not
That's totally fine, yeah.
But cool. So I just want to thank you for having me. I know I'm kind of a little bit everywhere with my YouTube and with my manga. I'm always changing my mind on what I want to do, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you chose to interview me. It really means a lot to me. I really respect you as a mangaka. I think your art is incredible. From what I can tell, your storytelling is awesome, and I really appreciate you having me on. And then to all the watchers out there who might be watching this video, I just want to tell everybody, no matter what your situation is, just never give up. Do what you want to do, whatever it is, even if it's not drawing manga, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to spend your life doing, do that. I mean, you could do anything you want. You just have to be dedicated towards it. You have to say, I'm going to do this, and you're going to be able to do it. I promise you. Even though I haven't accomplished what I want to accomplish, I've been doing it for 6 years, and actually more than 6 years now. But I'm on the verge, and I'm always on the verge. Even if I never get to where I want to be, I'm always on the verge of getting to that next step. And it's one step closer to where I want to be. So just never give up on what you're doing, because in the reality, even talking about consumers and people that buy your stuff, as a professional, what it really all is about, when it all comes down to, is doing what you love. And if I could emphasize anything through this whole conversation, that's what I want to emphasize. Do what you love doing. That's the most important thing. Spend your life doing the things you really care about, and spend it being with the people you want to be with.
All right. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your heartfelt compliments, and thank you again for doing this interview. I highly appreciate it. I hope we stay in touch. Good luck on your future endeavors. Good luck with your channel. Good luck with Emma. And just continue doing what you do.
Thank you.
That's it. All right. So those
Thank you,
watching,
and you as well.
Thank you. So those of you watching, this is Mangaka89, and this is Ryan Dickey. Go check out his channel. I'll be putting it in the link description in the description below. Go subscribe to him because he's awesome, and you should be expecting some awesome and new stuff from him sometime soon. I'm sure he'll definitely put out a lot of cool content. And that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. And this concludes the video. So thank you again, and see you later.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. See you.